Welcome all you +2 comedy modifiers back to the stream. Welcome back to Tyte's Random Weekly. TV's Noah here. Water in hand. I didn't have time to make a smoothie today. I'm very sad about it, if I'm completely honest. But we are about to jump into Tyte's Random Weekly. We made it to level 8, and I find it unbelievably frustrating. I've been looking at it for an entire day, and I've been thinking about it for an entire week, and I've made little to no progress. So basically, if you go to the page source, view that beautiful page source, we have this inspired by Ronald L. Rivlis, LCS35. Basically, this is a puzzle that Ronald had made, where he basically provided this information. This is what N is, this is what T is, this is what Z is. And then the problem is to compute 2 raised to the second raised to the T power mod N. And then you take that, W equals 2 raised to the 2 raised to the T, which is this, power, mod N, which is this, and then exclusive OR the result with Z. The result is an 8-bit per character. So basically, what it is saying is, if I understand this correctly, you need to do an equation. Basically, putting this value for T, for N, you need this value, and then take the result of that, exclusive OR the result with Z, which is this, and that will end up with 8 bits per character, which I think means it'll basically end up being binary once you do all of this. Now, this was created by Robert. Hello! This was created by Robert to basically say this would take a ridiculous amount of time for any of our computers today to solve. But it was actually cracked. And it said something like, congratulations, you did it. It wasn't like a big deal. The thing about what is presented in front of me here today is the digits are different, so it's not the same answer as Robert's. That should be obvious. This is vulnerable. Basically, what I think this is trying to tell me is there is a shortcut to do this puzzle. There is a way to solve this puzzle without doing the computation, because the computation would take decades. What I have to do that, I'm not sure. Like, my thought has something to do with, like, doing some sort of cheat, or some sort of way of recognizing the numbers, reducing the numbers, perhaps, seeing if there was like a common numerator and I could divide them or something. If I understand it correctly, this is a power, 2 raised to this power, and then 2 raised to the result of that. Mod N is in division, and it is the remainder. So if I did like 3 mod 2, 2 goes into 3 once with a remainder of 1, so the answer is 1. That is my kind of understanding. The exclusive OR is a bit more mind-boggling for me. Because that has to do with truth tables, and I don't quite understand how to do that with the result, but that's what we got to figure out. And then with the answer being 8 bits, I think it's all going to come out to binary. That's kind of where I'm at. What I do beyond just trying to computate it, I don't really know. My thought is, with T just being a billion or a trillion, let me just real quick. Those are hundreds, those are thousands, those are those are hundreds, those are thousands, those are millions, those are billions. So yeah, it's 1 trillion. With it evenly being 1 trillion, I think there might be a way that I can kind of goof this. But we'll see. So I'm going to screw around with the calculator. So 2 raised to the 10th will be 20, right? Right. I don't think I'm actually doing the math. That's not what I wanted. Clear. 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 And I don't quit. I suffer. That's what we do here. 2 raised to the 10th would be what? No, it's not the easy. I'm thinking it the other way, where it's 10 raised to the 2nd. And it's just adding zeros. Because I'm not going to learn anything by 2 raised to the 100th, am I? Let's find out. 2 raised to the 100th power. There is some sort of sequence, it seems, because it started with 1, 2, 6, 7, and the other answer started with 1, 2, 6, 7, I believe. Right? No, it didn't. I'm just being sillies. Does it make sense to wait? Wait. What if I do 1 raised? Does that mean anything? Like, this is a silly idea, I think, but 1 raised to the 10th power, just out of curiosity, is 1. So 1 raised to any power is 1? Is that true? I don't think this makes sense, but I'm going to say it out loud. This is in brackets. So if I look at just that part of the equation, does it make sense to divide both numbers by 2? Or divide the whole equation by 2? I think maybe it would. Because if I divide the whole equation by 2, what's n? No, n's not divisible by 2, though. But it's just going to end in a 0.5, so maybe it is possible. Because my thought is... Where's my notebook? Don't look at that. Close that, actually. If I take these numbers... I don't know if I have to do the same with z. I feel like I would. No, I wouldn't. Just want to take these. And if I divide the whole thing by 2... I'm taking this and I'm dividing the whole thing by 2. So I am now doing... I don't know if this... Maybe this will be better if I do it... Nah, whatever. I would now have W over 2 equals 1 raised to the 1 raised to half of t, which is 500 million. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, 500. No, 500 billion. hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. So all of that would just equal 1, though. In theory. I don't think this mathematically works. I think I'm not distributing it correctly. But it needs to work for me to have a chance at understanding this. So all of this would then equal 1. And then I would have to do 1 mod half of this. So I don't think this works. I don't think this works at all. Help me, Enigmatics. Alright, so can I paste? I can. How about that? Divide it by 2. Boom. So I take this number. This is not going to work. Well, now what I have is basically W over 2 equals, I'm probably speaking nonsense, 1 mod T, right? So what I could in theory do, 1 mod, oh, mod N, I did the wrong number. Right? Did I do the right number or the wrong number? I did the wrong number. Okay. It doesn't necessarily matter. Because what I could, in theory, do now is multiply it by 2. Multiply both sides by 2, which would get rid of the numerator, would just be W equals 2 mod N. I don't know what I'm doing. I think that makes sense. Let's just try that. This is me just doing my freaking best right now. Clear. So I'm saying 2 mod this number equals 2. Okay. So copy. This is so dumb. This exclusive OR on a scientific calculator. Oh, it's just XOR. That makes sense. There's no XOR. It's just XOR calculator. Boom. Okay. 2 XOR. This is so not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is just me blindly guessing. This number. Copy. Boom. Calculate. I got almost the same number except there's a 2. Alright. Let's turn that into binary. Cyber Chef. Hello, Cyber Chef. Stop mining for Bitcoin, please. Binary. And then to what? ASCII from here? How do I spell ASCII? Alphabet. What's right? ASCII? Isn't that what makes it letters? ASCII. Binary to alphabet. Binary to alphabet translator. Sure. Let's just try it. Yeah, it went back to freaking numbers. ASCII, thank you. Oh, good. I did actually spell it correctly. Good call, Jay. Good call, Jay. All right, so what we've learned is everything I've done is wrong, and we've wasted a half hour of our lives. Sometimes doing these puzzles feel like being Wesley from The Princess Bride when he's being tortured by the albino. I just sucked 30 minutes of your life away. Okay. Let me just, I don't know. Scientific calculator. Let's just see if I can type this into a very powerful calculator. Okay. So, 2 raised to 2 raised. Oops, no, not what I wanted. Yeah, one of those. To where is the puzzle? There we go. So to T, which is this number. Undefined. It's just too big of a number for this to possibly know. Yes, boom. And then I'm just going to keep going to see if it does anything. Mod? This doesn't even have mod. 2 raised to the second raised to t, a trillion, mod n, which is this number. It's supposed to be an impossibly large equation that a computer couldn't do. I was just trying to see if a computer could do it, which the answer is clearly no. The thing about it is this is called the vulnerable time capsule, which makes me feel like there is a workaround about this puzzle. Now, as we've learned, do I have this? This was inspired by Ronald L. Rivlist's LCS-35, which is the same problem with different numerals. So, which for some reason is not even listed here. T is a specific 14-digit or 47-bit integer, namely here, bang. And N is a specific 61-digit or bigger integer. Yeah, okay. That is the product of 2 prime numbers, which are not given. So is that part of it? Maybe we need to find the 2 prime numbers that make up N? Because the idea is if you multiply 2 prime numbers, the only digits that you can make this product are 1 in itself and those 2 prime numbers. That's a mathematical law, I believe. So is it helpful if we can figure out No, I don't believe Z is the answer. I mean, this this is another number. This I do later, exclusive. I then exclusive OR, XOR, the result of this with this. That's how it's part of the equation. So I think my idea is I do this part first. But now that I'm going back and reading this, N is a specific number, or a specific integer, that is the product of 2 prime numbers which are not given. So maybe finding those numbers are what we need to do. That's what makes it vulnerable, is that we could easily figure that out. So I mean, we could just take N and start dividing it by prime numbers. It's clearly not divisible by 2. What is it divisible by 3? No, it's not divisible by 5. That's obvious. Maybe it's divisible by 7. I'm just kind of letting Jay cook for a minute while I try a bunch of prime numbers. Nope. $11. Hi, Kukelis. Kukelis already I've done that, Kukelis. Is the answer undefined? Oh my god, is the answer undefined? Because I attempted this and it was powerful calculator. Big number calculator. This is not helpful. I don't think this is helpful. Yeah, this is where I went to before. And I was all like, 2 raised to the 2 raised to the 1 trillion. 10. Yeah, I get undefined. Is it undefined? That would be a very funny answer to this. That's such a good answer. I kind of love that as a bit. I'm putting that in my notebook. In my puzzle notebook. That is such a good bit. And Tyte's known for those types of bits in this puzzle. Is it no, that is already too high for it, huh? Because that's just 2 raised to the 2060 something, I think. We did just do it. I'm not a mathematical genius. Obviously. Full precision. Math is fun. Let's try one more just random calculator we found. This doesn't look like... This is the least credible looking calculator I've ever seen. Should have about 300 digits. This should have about 300 digits, or this should have about 300 digits. Is there a calculator someone would suggest? Oh, okay, gotcha. I'll do it for the lulz. I love that as an idea. Mario doesn't exist. Mario does not exist, Jay. There's no such thing as a Mario. Gotcha, I see what you're saying about the 300 digits. So just... Yeah, that's the ludicrousness of this as an answer is 2 raised to the second raised to a trillion is going to be an astronomical number, a number that a computer could not compute, I could not compute, and let's be honest, Tyte couldn't compute. So there's got to be a workaround to this. I just don't think I know my maths enough. That's why I was thinking maybe the vulnerability comes from learning the 2 prime numbers that were multiplied together to get, what was it, n? It's the product of 2 numbers which are not given. I will never... I will never use AI. I will not destroy the environment for one of these puzzles. I will not feed anything to the thing that wants to replace artists. Sorry, let me get off my soapbox real quick. Alright, let's get back to this. Or maybe it'll make ChatGPT explode, which would be great. Okay, the idea behind the challenge is the only known way to calculate W without knowing the factorization of n is by t successive squarings. So knowing the factorization of n is what's important. But for some reason, this one's vulnerable. So maybe it's just an easy thing to factorial. Not characters, calculators, what I wanted. Factorial is what? Is it the exclamation point? I think it's the exclamation point. Okay. Calculator soup. Let's just try that. Blam. Well, that only gave me 5 numbers. Wouldn't it be it ends in a 7? Wouldn't it be that it ends in a 7? Yeah, it didn't work out. Blah. Blam. Is the answer overflow? That would be funny. I mean, correct me if my math is wrong, but according to the original experiment, which is we're doing a version of it, we know that n is an integer that is the product of 2 primes. My understanding of math is if you multiply 2 primes together, the only possible factorials are those 2 numbers plus itself and 1. That's what happens when you multiply prime numbers together, is those become the only 2 factorials. So, we do not know. We do not know how many letters the answer is. So, part of this that we could attempt to solve this... Yeah, I mean factors. Like, the only factors that work would be itself and 1, and those 2 prime numbers would be the only 2 factors. So, the challenge is that it's nearly impossible to solve this without knowing those 2 numbers. But the fact that this... There's a dog losing its mind out there. The fact that this version of the puzzle is called the vulnerable time capsule, it makes me think that there's a vulnerability somewhere. And possibly that vulnerability is that n's factorial is easy. I did start this by explaining that my computer is garbage. Whamp whamp. Yeah, I just can't hit it. This page is slowing down Firefox. Google. There's factorial this place. We're going to Number Empire. We're going to try one more, and then we're going to be done with this as an idea. The limit is 5,000? Well, Number must be less than 5,000. See, yeah, this is a problem. That was weird. That's why my thought is like, what if it's just like a very easy number? What if it's like 13, you know? Oops. Hold on. Hold on. Clear. Clear. Divided by 13. Nope. The answer is Willow, the one AI who could actually compute this math equations. Boo AI, boo, boo. Boo AI, boo. What's the next, 17? That's the next prime number? 17? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Here's a thought. Is it a perfect square? What if it's just the same prime number twice? Nope. Just an idea. That would have been fun. Would have been a fun way to do it. Kukalis, you still here? Help! The idea behind the challenge is that the only way to find the value of w without knowing the factorization of n is by t successive squaring. The value of t was chosen so that this brute force calculation would require about 35 years using a 1999 chip, taking into account Moore's law. Rivers notes that just as a failure of Moore's law could make the puzzle harder than intended, a breakthrough in the art of factoring would make this puzzle easier than expected. What is Moore's law? Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors in integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. Moore's law of observation and projection is a historical trend. Rather than a law of physics, it is an imperial relationship. It is the expected curve of a law. So I think he was just trying to compute how computers will improve and say that, okay, I get what's going on. All right. I don't know. I've never heard of this Willow AI. Are you confused? Are you thinking of Jeff Hardy? Jokes for no one. All right. It sucks. I did read something about like the guy who broke this code early, and all the articles like, yeah, I broke it early. Like, it doesn't really go into great detail of how. The challenge was set because, like, here's the big crux to me is the idea of the challenge is the only known way to find the value without knowing the factorization of n, which, like, that seems to be the important part. It's the factorization of n, which means that there's a vulnerability in there that would give me that factorization. Kikelis, would you like to say if that was a correct statement at least? Before I continue to chase this rabbit hole. Big old list of prime numbers. Here's one of the biggest prime numbers. Here's the biggest prime number under. I didn't mean to copy and paste on that because I need to do this. Okay. Blam. Divided by, what was that number? 7993. Nope, not that number. What's the largest prime number? Largest prime number. That doesn't help. Nor does that help, Jay. How did I come upon this problem? I'm doing a series of riddles. And by the way, thank you for stopping by. For seeing that I was struggling with math and being like, this is a stream I want to join. I'm doing a series of puzzles. This is level 8. The previous 7 were not this maths heavy. The previous level was about the Game Boy. Actually, the previous level was a cipher. The level before that was about the Game Boy. So this is what was being thrown in front of me. If you want to give this a try yourself, you can go to nightfall.com/randomweekly. Depending on what username you choose, you'll get different puzzles. Yeah, so since you're new to the stream, I solved these weird puzzles that were put to me by the Enigmatics community. And if you don't know the answer, because you're not part of the Enigmatics community, then we're a team! Welcome to the team. But the Enigmatics community also likes to jump in and mock me for my wrongness. So that's the situation we're in. See, my thought would be the funniest way to do this would for one of the prime numbers to be 2. Yeah, it's insane. So like putting just this math equation in is insanity. I honestly don't know what finding the factors of n would even do for us. Just because I'm not as math savvy as I wish I was. But that's just identified in the Wikipedia page as a vulnerability. So, like, I can't see it being a bad thing that we know that answer. You stretched it real wide? Maybe plug in more monitors so that you can kind of like human centipede. Yeah. The challenge was set as a take on the 35th anniversary of the MIT. 20 years later, a programmer named Bernard Fabrot. The plain text begins with exclamation, exclamation, happy birthday, LCS, exclamation, exclamation. On May 14th, 2019, Ronald published a new version to extend the puzzle as it's supposed to be done. We'll bring up 2 calculators. This is another great way to do it. I think we lost Kukelis, so I think we're on our own, gang. And one of us is probably currently playing another video game and listening to me like a podcast. This video's not going to help us either. Because my thought with the XOR is a yes is a 1 and a no is a 0, and that's just kind of how it works, but I don't quite understand how XOR works. I understand mod, kind of, but, like, I just, in a vague sense, understand what the calculator is going to push out. Like, I couldn't do it for you. I mean, I could, because it's just, my understanding is mod is just remainder. I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I wish I was playing whatever video game you're currently playing. You know what's great about these streams is not only are they very difficult and hurt my brain, I do them on Mondays where I get off of work and it's my roughest day. And I come in here as most brain dead as possible to then suffer at the hands of this puzzle. Maybe I'm trying to think if there's like a relationship between the numbers themselves. Like maybe one of the factors is this, but this isn't a prime number, so it can't be. That would be silly. These are also the same number of digits. And they both start with, yeah, so they're not like factorials of each other. Like, can I see the actual equation, the original equation for this? This took a turn. Did you calculate W already? Oh, Academy, thank you for being here, first off. I assume the plan is to factorize n and use the Alder-Turin of n and then use the Alder theorem. But I'm not sure how easy it is to factorize n. So, the idea of the puzzle is, or the original puzzle, because this is not the original, this is an inspiration of that, is that factorizing n would be very difficult. N is the product of two prime numbers. But since this is a vulnerable time capsule, I think what the clue here is, you can figure out what the factors of n. And we can't do that. I have not factored W, because this equation is not a thing that I can figure out currently. I'm too dumb, and the calculator bursts into flames when you attempt it. I'm not super familiar with mod, but I understand that mod is basically asking the remainder when the two numbers are divided against one another. But I don't know, and I don't know the factor of n. Thank you for watching the Blueprints videos, by the way. I freaking love that game. I don't think I can. Actually, you know what? I think I can. This is a randomly generated puzzle. So I don't know. There's like a login thing, so it might not work. Also, for some reason, only half of this is clickable. So, because of the apostrophe in my name. TV's Noah here. Water in hand. But yeah, Academy, if you got a less than useless idea. Oh, this puzzle's great. This is one of the best puzzles I've ever done. It's just level 8's been a brick wall because I'm not as math savvy as I wish I was. I was really into math, and I had to choose between my major being math or theater. And I went with theater. And now here I am. And it's not personalized. Might not be the right way. It's randomly generated based on username. So it's kind of like how Pokemon works. That's how the random number generator kind of works for the original Game Boy Pokemon. It's based on the username. It affects like the randomness. In case you didn't know, this is the part of the stream where I've run out of ideas, and I'm just kind of looking for things to fill the silence as I smash into this brick wall. Academy, did that link work for you? I'm also curious, just alas, per Uric, I knew him, Horatio. I don't know Hamlet's monologues that well. I know a big part of it was used in what's his name, Christopher Durang's Actor's Nightmare, and I'm more familiar with that. I'm trying to sound as smart as possible right now, as I just hope someone from my chat helps me. No, the link did not function, but it's cool. It's just that I didn't want you to copy the numbers out by hand. Well, I mean, I could do this. If this helps, I can just copy this. Do that. There you go. Enjoy. Right. Well, if I'm brutally honest, I took my theater degree and I used it to focus on stand-up comedy, which I will be at Helium Comedy Club coming up on the 28th at 7:30 and in Philadelphia. There's a bunch of Heliums. And I then also turned it into a professional wrestling career. So I've been working for various wrestling companies as Scott Holiday, and that's what I used my theater degree for. I wrote 2 plays that I really like that I need to go back and like freshen up and kind of like fix. I wrote a great drama called Doors, which is a man trying to figure out how to go to heaven. He's dead, and he's presented with 2 doors. And it's just one goes to heaven, one goes to hell. You figure it out. And then I wrote another one called Chastity and Destruction, which is it's a comedy about a guy trying to lose his virginity before the world ends. Scott Holiday is my wrestling name. Yes, that's my... I had one match as Scott Holiday, but mostly I did commentary, and I'm mostly focused on commentary recently. I also wrestled for cosplay pro wrestling as the devious Giovanni of Team Rocket, but I retired last year, so I'm not doing as many in-ring stuff, just doing the commentary thing. Wrestling is acting. Wrestling is mostly it. It's acting that hurts. Physically, rather than emotionally. Wrestling's not fake, it's very real. It's just planned. Plays I like... Yeah. That's very true. It's, you can end up broken. I have to go. Thank you for giving me topics so I didn't have to think about this anymore. I do have to go. Wolfram Alpha is able to factorize the number right away, so I assume that the plan is to calculate the torn function so you can figure out the exponent. Delete. While messing around with random calculators, I found one that will show you the full answer. Oh my god, links! But I do actually have to go, like, right now. Because I actually have something scheduled for, in like a couple minutes that I have to go to. Wolfram Alpha? Okay, we will use Wolfram Alpha when we come back and try this again. Thank you for that, Vaco. Thank you so much for joining me as well, Academy of Useless Ideas. And the other person who I can't find. Hopefully I will. And if you want to join me for more of these types of puzzles, I stream them every Monday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And, feel free to give me a follow. I'm really close to 500. I really want to hit 500 soon. So that would be much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Plus 2 Comedy Gaming. You can catch up on all my past live streams. And I'll see y'all next time. Actor's Nightmare, True West, and Picasso at Le Pont-de-Gilles. 3 of my favorite plays. There you are. Thank you so much for being here as well fed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Boop!